So one of our Runway members was messaging me yesterday and asking me some questions and just kind of talking about having some questions and some things in his mind about his business. And I said, you know what? I said, look, I'm willing to get on a call with you, but we're going to put it on the podcast. So reluctantly, I kind of pushed and I said, look, if you want to talk with me for a little while, that's fine. But my time is super limited now. And what I really do is the questions he was asking and some of the things that he was saying, they just struck me where I was a few years ago. And I know that I said to him, I said, more people need to hear this conversation than just me and you. And it's not because I don't want to have this conversation over and over again. It's not because I don't want to get on a call with someone. It's just the fact that I feel like even those of you who are not in our mastermind groups, you're not in the Runway group or the Altitude group or involved with us at all, but just listen to the podcast. This is something that you need to hear in your business right now. I'm telling you. And we need to, even if you're not in the real estate business, you need to hear it because I've been down this road a ton of times. So tell us a little bit about you, about your business, kind of like your background in your kind of full-time job and then your transition to real estate a little bit, just to give us an idea of who you are.
We've primarily focused on keeping houses as rentals, but I've done maybe one or two flips a year. So that's about it. Not more than that, because these projects, would take a lot of my own time. On the average, time to market from acquisition to sales, we've significantly shrunk that time since, and we'll get to that later in the podcast. But it would take me close to 6 months to get the project completed. So having the enough financing available, plus experience, plus, having the right staff on board, all of that, of course, accumulates to more and more time being added into the final product deliverable. So I could only do one flip, maybe two a year.
So you did this for about 6 or 7 years. So doing Correct. Kind of one a year or two a year, like one every 6 months. So this sounds very similar to my story for the 2 years before I joined Seven Figure Flipping. Actually, I was doing it all myself. I was doing all my own, trying to find my subs and contracting it, being basically the general contractor and finding the project. And then I would find one and I would buy it and I'd start working on it. And I'd stop looking for another one. And then when I got finished 4 months later, or so 5 months later, I'd lift my head up out of this fog of doing all this work and look around and go, wow, okay, I don't have another deal in the pipeline. I have no idea what I'm going to do next. And then frankly, I had to sell that house to use the money to get to the next deal too. So it's usually about 6 to 8 months. And then it would take me another 6 months to find the next project. And so it was the same thing, one a year, because I was kind of doing it all myself. Is that what you saw, that change now where you're able to do a little, and I had a full-time job too, by the way. I was flying airplanes for the Navy and I was kind of finding all that time on the side and in between and just putting in two full-time jobs effectively.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities the way you described and how you operated your quote unquote business. And back then, right, it was definitely, it wasn't even a startup. It was kind of a hobby for me at that time. It wasn't really anything structured. So yeah, I think you're spot on.
Yeah, I called it a side hustle. The thing was my side hustle made me $40,000 a year, and it sounds like you were getting $130,000 out of a project. So it's not too bad, I guess. So what made you kind of shift into that mindset of changing what you were doing for the last 6 or 7 years to where you want to go now?
If someone can do it, then you could do it, right? If so, Flip Hacking Live really opened my mind and perspective into. I think the big theme in 2018 was hiring out and systems and processes, and that really pushed me to think in terms of creating a team, removing myself, eventually from a business, looking at it as an operator more so than a technician, and all of that, all these major themes that we talked about in 2018, it was really, pushed me to think slightly differently into, if you really want to grow, there's certain things that you have to do. You cannot operate in isolation and grow, a successful business by yourself. Absolutely. I just cannot see that happening.
If these guys can do it, sounded too good to be true, because I remember when I was listening to the podcast and I joined Seven Figure Flipping, I didn't talk to anybody. I heard the podcast talking about it when it was just getting created. I heard them interviewing a couple people who were joining the group, and I was listening to their story going, man, if these guys can do it, I can do it. And I kind of listened to Justin at the time, just go, it sounds like this guy can't even screw in a light bulb, and he's flipping 150 houses a year. So what excuse do I have not to do that? I obviously think of myself. At that time, I was swinging a hammer. I was running electrical in the houses. I was doing tile. I was going, I can do all the things that he's saying he can't do. So why can't I do it? But the thing is, my mind was screwed up. I could not see the way that he saw things and these other guys saw things. They saw a team and building out systems and process and procedures around it so they don't have to be involved. And I didn't think like that at all. It was just all me. I was carrying all the weight on my shoulders. I was doing all the heavy lifting. And I thought that was the way that it was. I mean, I thought that's the way that business is. We're trying to teach people how to run businesses, show them how we run our business so they can run a business too that can operate with them or without them, whatever they choose. And they can run the kind of business that they want to. Really see it like a business, not the side hustle that you and I were running. You were running for 6-7 years, me for at least 2-3 years before we really got it together. So after that event, what happened? Did you just start hiring people like gangbusters and brought on 20 people and started running the company, and it's successful, or what?
Yeah. So I thought after Flip Hacking Live, so 2018, this is it. This is the answer. I just need to go and start hiring people. And that's what I did. I started doing it and hiring it and doing it and hiring. Although I've never hired anyone previously. So, through that process, I think I'm almost kind of a different person now looking at it, almost a year ago. Through that process, I made, some mistakes that we can, of course, get into. But I started, just like you said, gangbusters, hiring right and left and training and hiring and training, without really realizing, this, I've never done anything like that before, never built a business. So part of it, building a business is not just, the marketing, the sales, the acquisition, disposition, the operations, the, financial aspects of it, record keeping, KPIs. It's more broader than that. It's leadership. It's your communication style, and all of that. It just caught me for surprise. Let's just say my leadership got really, really tested. Like my skill set in terms of leadership got really tested.
So who were you hiring at that time? Was it just kind of VAs that you were hiring? What did it look like?
Anybody who I can. So I followed the advice and create a list, a task list of all the things that, that was a presentation in 2018, by the way, too, I think, is to create a task list of all the things that you do, look at your annual income, and then, average it out, and whatever is below that average, try to, find a way to automate it, outsource it, do anything, but don't focus on these activities. Find somebody else who's better at it, or has time to do it, or is cheaper to do it. Education was a big piece. The goals are a big piece. So we each have goals now. So I think that was a big piece from this year's event. I think Val mentioned that everybody in your company has a number. So that really resonated with me. That I absolutely have to do that if I want to run a business.
What was the difference between you doing it by yourself and you doing it with a little bit of support?
Having the peers that are almost in the same position as you are, going through the same struggles and learning and doing it and failing it and doing it again. I think that was the game changer, I would say, versus me trying to read a book or learn things on my own, doing things on my own, learn how to hire people, learn how to structure things, learn how to build systems. You can learn all of that on your own. But when you're doing that with like-minded people in the same group, it elevates things to to a different level.
It was really nice spending some time with you. I'm glad we did, and hopefully the listeners get a lot out of this. I think that they will in any situation they are. They could be doing a couple hundred houses and need this. They could have never done a house before, and I think they need this. So I enjoyed it. Hopefully everybody does too. So thanks for spending some time with me, and thanks for agreeing to do this. I was like pulling teeth to get you to do it. You called me a salesperson to get you to do this. So
you are really good at what you do. So, and I agree. I think people like, especially me, pushing them. It's not really pushing them, but nudging them, I think, in the right direction. Right. I only needed a nudge to come on this podcast. Right. It's not like it wasn't a tough. I don't think it was. hopefully it wasn't that tough to get me on. But
I said, you can get on a coaching call with me for $2,000 an hour, or we can do it for free on the podcast. And he said, you're a good business to business sales guy. So,
which is true.
Well, and then I tell you what actually got you on here was me saying that there's a lot of people that need to hear this message, not just you. And then he said, okay, I'll do it. So that was it, because I think that's it. Like what people don't understand is everything that we're going through right now, we're not reinventing the wheel. It's everybody's going through it. I've been through exactly what you're thinking. And that's why I wanted to share it with you. I wanted to get on my soapbox talking about the CPA. It just went in right into my head when you were talking about it on Facebook Messenger. And I knew that we just needed to share this with whoever listens. Obviously we can't get across the whole world, but that reminds me, like, guys, if you listen to this and you know somebody else that needs this, please share this podcast with them. Give it a rating. That's like currency for us in the podcaster world. Give it a rating, give it a review on iTunes, Stitcher, on YouTube. We're on YouTube now, the 7-Figure Flipping channel on YouTube. Just give us a review. Tell us what you think about it. Email us at info@houseflippinghq.com and just tell me that you like it. You're enjoying it. Thanks for putting it out, because that's the kind of stuff that drives me to get on here on a Sunday night at 9 p.m. to do this podcast and spend time with our members and bring it to you guys. So reach out to us. I'd love to hear it. It's definitely what keeps me going. And that's it. It's the only thing that keeps me going. So, all right. Had a good time tonight. Have fun in Vegas.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. We'll see you guys.